What's up, Doc? What's cooking? All right, this episode of Game of Names is going to be about the rabbit holes. All right, too many people spend their time going down the rabbit hole. And what's that going to lead you to? Some past stories that may be true, that may be fabricated, that may be made up for you to just get lost on some tangent? Well, yeah, all the above. What if they happen to be true? What are you going to do about it now? Tell everybody, do you know what happened back when the Anunnaki were here? Do you know what the Anunnaki are? Basically, this modern day, the Anunnaki are the scientists and the researchers that are doing experiments on people and animals. I could go really into depth about what it all is. But what matters now, if you can't tell, if you don't think this now moment matters and what you're doing matters, then you're totally already lost. And there's no point in trying. But I have to put this out there because some chance may be available that you will wake up and see what's happening here. The first person I'm going to go to in this video is Greg Reese. All right, he's a good guy. At least he seems to be. Let's not go into any details about any of these guys except for what position they're holding in the universal mind. Okay? Greg Reese. Generated or grouped. Referencing expression, generated or grouped. Now, that's what Greg means. But then when you say Reese, you have to re-express the subject expressed. If you say it backwards, he'd be the expressed seer. So what he's actually doing is putting out what he's talking about, what he's seen, what he's gathered, referenced, expressed, gathered, and then referenced, expressed upon itself, subjecting expression. Greg Reese, is that not what he does? He actually is known for the Reese Report. Come on now. So now, how about Stephen Greer? Well, if you wanted to subject the events or the subject plus expressed, vital, expressed notion, and you wanted to agree with those who create agendas, you would be Greer. You would be generated the reference, expressing upon itself, reference, subjecting plus event. Come on now. You have to see that is what's happening. We can go into his birthday and all that if you need to, but you have to see the universal mind is so amazing that I'm able to tap in to not only what we call the Akashic Records, all of it. And it all fits with what I'm teaching. No one else is teaching it because no one else knows. You may know some backstories of what other people say, but how can you say that they're right? Just because you saw him on somebody's report, you saw him on somebody's newscast, you saw him on somebody's YouTube channel? Well, yeah, I have to use a YouTube channel. Nobody wants to do anything in person. That's why I want to do this in person, so that I'm not putting it across the airwaves, because that's what we're creating. The visuals that we put on our TV are saved in light memory. Minerals can manifest over time, over light years. I know, because I could explain all that too, but I would lose you because no matter how intelligent you think you are, talking about toroidal fields and, the firmament in the Bible, you have no idea what it means. Because if you knew something as simple as Cain slew Abel means kinetic action, notion expressed, is what slew, as in subjected, as it lied, expressed plural, it lied. It was still. Active, base, expressing, as it lie. So, that means kinetic activity, that notion expressing, slew the active base expressed as it lies? That means that something that was still and undisturbed was slew by the action of something. A kinetic active notion expressing. Oh, wow, isn't that amazing? Ooh, the Bible made a big story about people. Well, guess what? It has lived in space. It has lived in spirit. It has lived in mind. And it has lived through people. What difference does it make to you at this moment in time to keep reading a damn book? This is what God wants you to do. Grow up, quit being a baby, and quit reading bedtime stories. I'm sorry. You've got to wake up. That's why I call it a bedtime story. I love you. That's why I'm saying it like this, because you have to have somebody hammer it into your head. It doesn't seem like complete sense is enough for you because you want nonsense to make sense to you. It's kind of sad. Anyway, Stephen Macon Greer, subject plus expressed vital expressed notion, the subjecting event, and then macon is M-A-C-O-N, manifest a con, but you could say manifest, active, constant to itself, ongoing notion. And then you have Greer, generate, reference, expressed upon itself, reference. He's all about UFOs and space. Oh yeah, the aliens are coming. Macon, okay. Subject events, okay. We are the aliens. So get it out of your head. Quit listening to these people. Because yeah, we can manifest all kinds of crap. We're messing with the earth, we're messing with the planet, we're messing with everything in the atmosphere. And it has memory. And nature gets even by giving us what we ask for. And what are we putting our attention on as a whole? Just think about it. I just realized that I neglected to break down his birthday. Stephen Greer's birthday is June 28th, 1955. Now, June is the form, force, or familiar. 28 is blank space, and 55 is to express an expression. Now, his name has EE in it. He talks about space, and he's forming a familiar force about it, aliens. You can't just say this is all a coincidence, because guess what? I've done all this. And when I say that, I don't say it lightly, but I say it with compassion because I care, not because I'm angry. I'm concerned about what we are allowing, and it's important that we do something about it. Now, this one isn't really a rabbit hole, but the spiritual journey that we're all on is the biggest rabbit hole that anyone could go down. We have a German-born spiritual teacher named Eckhart Tolle. All right, and his birthday is February 16th, 1948. Eckhart expressed unseen concept kinetic, here active reference plus. So he's going to express the concept kinetic here in the air, art. Eckhart, and he's talking about the expressed unseen concept kinetic, here active reference plus. Tolle, plus ongoing as it lies between two L's, or ling ling, expressing. So he's going to take what other people have told him to say. Tolle. What's a toll booth? It's something where you plus ongoing LL. As it lie. You have to go there to pay a toll. Eckhart Tolle. So through his talk, he's going to talk about the expressed concept kinetic, here active reference plus. Then his birthday being February 16th. February is 2, the base. 16 is the potential. And 48 is dia here. So between if you go base, potential, dia, to or from, here. So that's him. And he's going to talk about the expressed concept kinetic, here active reference plus. Come on now. All of these people have good things that they're saying, and some of them are trying really hard. Some of them really believe that what they're doing is on the right track, and to some point it is. If you want to get caught in the earth game, if you want to get caught in the cycle, because all you're doing is regurgitating old stuff, putting that in your mind, and if you were to die tomorrow, you would go through another cycle looking for the same kinds of answers, because that's where your memory was left. If you know beyond this, that you're supposed to move forward with life. And then you see what's going on in the present world with you at the moment, and you do what you can to alleviate that pain, suffering, and tyranny. Right now, nobody's doing that because they're looking at backstories to prove it. I already know it. I don't need to see any backstories. And I'm not saying it because I'm trying to be an ass. I'm saying that because we need forward action, not backwards looking. Please understand that. That's why I say it, because we can't help our kids by teaching them about the tyranny of the 1800s and the early 1900s. What's that going to do besides scare them of our government even more? And our government is doing a good job at that already, especially to the kids. They have no idea what's going on. But let's move on to the next person. Next, I want to speak about a woman named Gigi Young, who is doing a great job at what she's doing. She's resonating with her name completely, and she talks about a lot of the esoteric and exoteric. She's a student of Steiner who really goes into theosophy and a lot of the ancestral languages and ancestral teachings. And I've tried to record this part about her at least 3 or 4 times. And it's because I get emotionally involved. I understand people want to look into the past in order to understand where we are now. But when it comes down to how I'm explaining the word, that is the true power behind it all, because that's the information we're relaying back and forth. So if we keep studying all those old things, all we're doing is basically sowing our future from learning about the past. And we have to understand where to draw the line and move from this point forward instead of keep looking back. So I'm not in any way trying to insult these people. I'm just saying that there are more important things to deal with now, but most people just can't be in the now. So I'll go into GG Young. Generated or grouped, 7, G, identified. Then generated and grouped, G, identified. And then her last name being Young, vitally identified, ongoing, underlying notion, generated and grouped. So what she's doing is looking into all the different areas, such as spirit, such as the esoterics and the exoteric, such as the passed down lore from elves and gnomes and fairies. And when I say that I have been all these things, I know how funny it may sound to some people. But there are people out there with, and it doesn't matter how many followers they have, but they have a lot of people tuning into them, and they're talking about elves and fairies and demons, and people take them seriously. But when I explain them in detail of, we don't have to get too carried away with them, because they're still here now. It's just most people don't receive those kind of energies. But if it's portrayed to you by a person whose name resonates with them, then of course you'll understand it. My name is Truth. Other people's names are something along the lines of, generating and grouping identity, generating and grouping identity. So it's what you take in and what you put out. Gigi is the female form of the word George. Instead of George, it's literally Gigi. So it's something about geography, but it's in spatial. So then it's literally, since it's just severed and even, 7G, generated and grouped, identified. It's literally everything from the top and the bottom. It's everything from spirit to demons to all the fairies and folklore, which is exactly what she does, because she's living her name vibration. And to be honest, that's great, because the universe in form plays all these characters and does exactly what it's supposed to do to the level of our conscious awareness. She's a very consciously aware person, so I think she's doing a great job. But there are more important things to worry about in this now moment than to continuously dig into the past. We have to have togetherness. We have to have real life interaction. And there's too many people who just want to be online. Think about what that's going to end up being if it continues that way. It's going to be everybody wanting to become computerized. And nobody really wants that. Nobody really wants to have no feelings or emotions. It's just that we're all bombarded with so much negative that we don't want to feel the emotions we have now. And it doesn't seem like anything is going to get better. The reason that is because we're not coming together as people. I want togetherness more than anything. And when I see people like this, I really respect what they're doing, because they're kind people and they're doing well. They're helping. But when it comes down to the deepest, more important part for everyone to know, it isn't researching the past. It's bringing light to the now moment. So these people are doing well and doing good, but there's more to it than that. Moving on from Gigi, we have somebody that she learns a lot of her stuff from, which is Rudolf Steiner. And like I've said, we're not only our name, we resonate highly with our birthday and where we came from. Because it's just like an apple comes from an apple tree, an orange comes from an orange tree. A person came from not their country, not their county, but there's names associated with it, and there's vibrations to it. It's just most people are so in their individual ego that they can't comprehend the larger portion of everything, the larger spectrum of life, which is understandable, because from the beginning of your life, most people have bombarded you with things that they thought to be real, or the traditions that they thought to be important, which, sure, on a lower level, some of them are, but some of them are inhumane and wrong things to do, period. Understand that Like I was just saying, you come from a place, not just a time. The time is the illusion of father, like male energy in motion, keeping track of things. And then the space that you manifest on is like mother, the nurturing part that holds your bodies in form. Now, when we go into Rudolf Steiner, you have where he's from is Donji. When I talk about me being the truth and the word, look at how his is a form of Dan, Dun, and then Jared. Instead of J-A, it's J-I. So we have Donji. Then we have Kraljevic, Croatia. So if you say what has been done as a junction of identity, that's literally what he talks about. All the past history being passed down. All the stuff that has been going on. And he's also, or was also, involved in a lot of occult, a social reformer. So if you want to pass down teachings to people, and if you really look into what he's saying, a lot of it is confusing. Unlike most people, I put things straight and simple. I don't try to go diving way deep into different ways that people have been explaining this universe throughout history. Because as I've said, and as you will eventually see, this is one long, giant story. And it can be basically edited throughout time if we take it upon ourselves to think deeply about what matters now instead of what happened then. Sure, they are great things to learn about so that you can not repeat those same mistakes, but it's not that important to get stuck in it. That's what a lot of people do, and that's where we've got to draw the line and move forward from there. So when you look into his name, Rudolf, just like the word wolf, O-L-F, now he's a reference underlying to and from himself the ongoing ling familiar, or the ongoing as it lie active base form force familiar. Joseph, from himself to junction that ongoing subject expressing that placement or potential here. Lorenz, lore, is rated in his name to speak about or to actively base the ongoing reference expressed. Notion from side to side, which what did he do? He spoke to a lot of people. And then Steiner, subject plus expressed identified notion, expressed reference. So all the things he's learned about before. And to subject it from what he's learned now gets heard by other people and brought forth again. So it's literally like sewing these words into space through bodies. So Gigi being a student of Steiner in his teachings is fine. And Steiner being a person who studied the esoteric and all the occult, that's fine too. But when you understand why these people are who they are and why they have some of the abilities they have, it's because they're vibrating completely with their name. I'm not belittling what they're doing or what they've contributed, but I'm just explaining that they are definitions. They are coming out of space into bodies of light and matter. And then they can manage that as a human and speak it to others and act in the world. So that is what's important. What you're saying, what you're doing, has so much more to do with what other people have said. Because in physical actuality, those have action repercussions. Those have future things that are going to come from them. Getting stuck in the past is not going to truly help you move forward, except for to grasp an understanding of something. I'm trying to put this into simple words, and I do apologize if I lose you when I ramble or seemingly ramble about some of these things. But it's only because I know these things already. It's the same story, just through different bodies, just through different people. And I've been there. So it's like I'm coming from me, the truth of the word, and trying to explain why these people are coming from them and their name vibrations. And I love them more than I could explain. And when I seem to get amped up and aggressive with the way I talk, it's only because we need to affect this now world now. Not tomorrow, not sometime in the past, because many people together are working on keeping you blinded from truth by forming history or rewriting history. Let's not worry about history because we know that it can be manipulated heavily, and it has been. I could go into all that stuff, but as I was doing that, all I got was threats and people being like, hey, you better watch what you're saying because, we could hurt you. And I know that. As an individual, I'm hurtable, and the people I love are hurtable. So I'm not going to put out into the universe the things that I know and have seen and experienced because I don't want to hurt you. And you have to understand that. It's not something that I'm doing because I'm trying to keep secrets. It's because nobody's going to be able to handle the stuff that I know like I did. And it's not like, oh, I'm this great mighty person that I can do something that no one else can. It's just my blessing was to be the truth. And many people are not going to resonate with it because they want to hold on to what they believe instead of what is true. So we'll go into his birthday. February, base, the second month, 27th, the question mark, the thing in question, or the based generated and grouped, and then 1861 to reference with 18, and then 61, the familiar action or the forms activated. And that's literally what he talks about. Or, since he's passed away in the physical world, what he talked about. So, we'll move on to the next. Okay, now remember, you're going to resonate with the name you go by most. Just today, somebody told me they were really into Rupert Sheldrake. And I've heard of him before, and I've seen him on a couple things, but I've never really gotten in any of stuff because I already know what kind of things he's going to say. Like, I'm not in everybody's mind where I know everything they're doing. I just know the truth, so I don't need to listen to what they're saying. It's not going to clue me in on anything. I already know. If you already know, why would you go looking for answers? You have them. And then when you watch what these people are saying or hear what they're saying, you realize that they don't know. And you're only trying to help them by offering it to them. So he was born on June 28th, 1942. So if you think of June being the 6th month, the form, force, or familiar, 28th, blank space, and then 42, to and from base. So he's going to talk about space, spirit, the morphic resonance is what he's known for. And the thing that I was sent today, or he put out today, somebody told me about him, and I went on YouTube and I typed in Rupert Sheldrake, Alfred Rupert Sheldrake. He was speaking about how something must be going on with the word. I have thoughts in my head and they have patterns, but unless I put them on the breath and move them into the breath. And then he started talking about Christian stuff and different Hebrew words, and that doesn't matter. You can see how he doesn't know, but he's trying to explain it because he gets paid for it. I'm not saying that that's what he's doing on purpose. I'm not trying to put anybody in any position that I have to argue about or anything like that. Like, what really matters is there is a truth, and since these people aren't in the know, maybe they might want to be, because we don't need this money. If those people didn't have the money and weren't all comfortable, maybe they'd speak out against the governments and start establishing communities and growing food, knowing what's healthy, because I can explain all of those things too. Any question they would ask me, I would have a full answer for. But they're not the kind of people that are going to go out of their way to talk to some guy who has no money. I want nothing from anybody. I would never charge any of you a penny, because the freedom that we are given by God, the Creator, that I know, that I am, so are you, and I'm trying to show you, He's given us this opportunity to do the right thing in the face of adversity. If you're going to do that, then great. If not, I'm sorry, you're not helping anybody. But anyway, let me go back to Rupert Sheldrake. So we have June, the 6th month, the form, force, or familiar, and then we have 28th in blank space, or based here, and then 42, which is dia, the to and from him, base. So he's going to talk about the things out in the world. His name being Alfred, it's the active, then L again, the ling or the active base, as it lies, and then Fred, Alfred, form, force, or familiar, reference expressing to and from. And then you go to Rupert. It's almost like the word report, but it's not. It's like what he's read and what he's learned. So he's too educated to know deeply enough about spirit. He's just trying to put pieces together from what other people said. Mine is the true, not only experience, it's it. It is what we all need. The key to life is in this guy that I happen to be in charge of. And I'm trying so hard to share it with all of you from the bottom of my heart every moment. Yes, sometimes I get angry, but what do you expect? Because this is a real world that I'm in too, and I know what it's all about. And if you knew what I knew, you wouldn't know what you would do with yourself, honestly. I'm lucky that I've gone through all this, and I'm still able to love you all enough to try to keep helping you when I'm saying obvious things to you and you just don't care. So anyway, I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted. But Rupert Sheldrake, we've already did Alfred. Now, Rupert, like the word report, reference, underlying, potential, expressed reference, plus. Sheldrake, subject here expressed as a lie, dia, and then the word rake, reference, active, kinetic expression. So he's talking about the things he's learned as Rupert, like the report, but as the underlying or the unanimous kind of thing. So he's really well educated, and he's always talking about things like that. And just today, as I've been talking about it for over 5 years, almost 6, he's talking about things, even though he's been doing his thing for a long, long time. When I'm telling you about timelessness, things are coming around now in our world that I have already seen. And enough people that know me, that have seen me and heard me talk about stuff, and then seen it happen the next day or the next week or the next whatever, that's not something that everybody does all the time. And I'm not saying it. It's not something I'm making up. So that's why I don't get lost on backstories. What I'm talking about is real stuff that happens in the real world that I can show you. And when you ask me about these people, and I'm telling you that they're in their place, and we've all done that before, and we've all got lost on certain things, but what we're doing now is fixing it all. And this is how we do it, by staying focused and coming together. So Rupert's doing great. He's helping people, explore their minds. But maybe people want to know the truth instead of just wonder. You're not here to just wonder forever, especially when we have bad things going on in our world and we can prevent them. It's not something we just would sit back and let happen. It's actually, we have involvement. We're not just chilling and just studying things. And I don't mean that towards Rupert. I'm talking about everybody. So yes, I rambled a little bit, but I'm actually quite happy today. And sometimes I get a little frustrated when I'm saying stuff that well-known people, I swear, they're listening to me, but because the universe is all unraveling at once, and I saw it ahead of time, and now people are starting to gather what I'm saying. Whether they're listening to me or not, I know there are people listening to me. As silly as that may sound to some, it's true. Because I've stood up to them and I've shown them many times that I know what they're doing and I know who they are. And now they're being shown all over the place. It's awesome, but at the same time, it's quite scary if you're not ready to handle it. But we've got to toughen up, come together, and love each other enough to do the right thing when it's time. And now is that time. So I apologize for the rant on this one, but I'll get to the last guy. Very, very interesting, and you'll see. For our last entry on this volume of Game of Names, we're going to do Max Planck. Now, that guy is the major physics dude. He's the guy who discovered the energy of the quanta. His birthday is April 23rd, 1858. Max Karl Ernst Ludwig Planck. Now, if you know what the Planck is, this is a very interesting one, and if you haven't seen it yet, you'll see if you understand what I'm saying here. The name Max, manifested, active, centered, or X, the center. X marks the spot, the Planck, okay? Manifest, active, center. Karl, kinetic, active reference as it lie, okay? Ernst, express reference, notion, subject plus, okay? Ludwig, as it lie as a unit to and from a plural identified generation. Okay. Planck, in place as it lay, active notion, constant to itself, kinetic. If you put that all together, the Max, actively active reference as it lie, expressing, because E is that bottom line still, the reference of that notion still, subjecting, plus, as it lie, as a unit, to and from its plural identified generated Planck, almost like the word planet, but in place, as it lie, active notion, constant to itself, kinetic. See, all those names together make up something really long for a man who is known for something super tiny. Do you see that? Now just think of Max Planck, and then think of having the smallest thing. It's the Max Planck, but not spelled like the word Planck. It's the constant to itself, kinetic. Do you see that? Now, April, 4, to and from. 23, the base concept, or the plural, of the to and from. And then, 58, bottom line expressing here. I rest my case. I have nothing else to say. I'm God. And you're beautiful. Now let's all come together and be godlies. Because I love you so much. If you only knew what I'm saying is true. I'm everywhere but here and present. And I'm here for you. You know how you're hearing that little voice in your head right now? You're receiving that from my vocal cords. That is manifesting from the Creator that made all of us in such a divine way. You are a beautiful, I can't even tell you, you're so great. And we need to find that within ourselves and love each other enough to make it so we don't let ourselves be destroyed. If you have a space in your heart, then beside all my recordings, this one thing I want to say is that this moment of now and for eternity, God is real. You are part of it, and don't let it go. Until next time, that's Game of Names. God bless.